back to my channel for another video. So normally I'd do a match preview of the upcoming game, but it has been postponed on Boxing Day sadly against Reading. So I thought I'd do something a bit different today and do my mid-season review of how Posh have got on, look at the rest of the championship and discuss how my prediction for the rest of the season will go, if I think Posh will stay up or if I think they will be relegated. So let's crack on with the video and look at my thoughts on Posh for the first half of this season. So let's discuss Peterborough United then. As many of you know who's watched my channel on a regular basis, Posh have been up and down like a roller coaster all season so far. We've had highs, we've had lows, we've had nothing really in between. It's gone from one extreme to the other on occasions. So yeah, let's crack on and go through how Posh have started this season. So Luton Town away was the first game and the first video on my channel. We lost 3-0 in that game away from home, and it was always going to be a tough start because Luton are a decent championship side and they've got some good players, and they showed that in that game, and they really showed what they could do and proved that we were a League One team coming up into the championship, because we didn't play the sort of football that we were expecting as Posh fans going into the championship in the start of the season. So yeah, it was pretty poor, but then we went and played Derby in the next game at home. And it was a good game, good performance, got a good win, 2-1 victory on Sky Sports in front of the cameras. And then we went on from there. We got a 2-2 draw with Cardiff. We've played West Brom, Fulham and Bournemouth at home so far this season, and we've done pretty well and getting good performances there. We've also had negatives away from home. We've had the likes of a thrashing at Swansea, we've been beaten at Middlesbrough, we've been beaten at Blackburn, beaten at Sheffield United. So we've had all these disappointments away from home, but home form has been pretty good. If I'm honest, it's been decent. It's not been the best, but it's not been the worst. We could be in a worse position currently in the championship, but I think so far it's been decent from a League One side coming up. It was always going to be difficult, as all promoted sides know. It's always tough to go into the championship and try and establish yourselves and prove that you can be one of the big boys coming up from the division below. Posh have got to grow, they've got to build. I still think that we need to improve the squad in January, which I'll be talking about later on in the video. But overall, I think if I have to score out of 10, I'd probably say a 4 or a 5. I think that average in terms of how we started. We're currently in relegation zone, which I'll be discussing again later on as well. I'm going to do my prediction of how we will get on. But yeah, we've been okay. We've played some good football. We could be better, but we could be hell of a lot worse. So I'm pretty happy with how we've played so far this season. It was always going to be difficult. So 8 seasons out of the championship, we're back in it. We're playing against some of the top teams in the country, and I think we've played very well so far this season. So yeah, that's my view on Posh for the first half of this season. So let's go through my favourite moment of the season so far. There's quite a few, to be honest, if in terms of the games we've played, especially at home. I think away we're not going to talk about that, because that will be my worst moments, because that's not been good. But home form, yeah, I think QPR at home, fantastic victory against a top side who were pushing for the playoffs. That was a fantastic win in that one. I think the first win against Derby, our first win in the championship, that was a pretty good game and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think the 0-0 draw with Bournemouth, even though it was a boring sort of game, we played very well defensively to get a good result in that one against one of the teams pushing for the top 2. Yeah, so there's quite a few. But yeah, I think QPR at home is probably my highlight, as well as Birmingham actually as well. 3-0 win against Birmingham at home, that was a very good game. So yeah, probably those two. I'd probably say Birmingham at home was my highlight so far this season, because it was a great performance, great result, and a good win against a team that's fairly local to Peterborough. So now we've got my favourite moment of the season out of the way, let's discuss the worst moment I think so far this season. Obviously, as you'll know from my previous videos, it will be an away defeat, because we haven't done very well away from home. There's quite a few actually to mention. I think Blackburn away was abysmal. We were terrible in that match on that evening. We didn't play well at all. But it's not going to be my worst moment. The worst moment for the season so far for me is Sheffield United away. It was I think it was 6-2 defeat in the end, or something like that. Quite a few goals in that match, but we didn't play well. It was horrific, and the highest defeat so far this season in terms of leaking goals at the back. didn't do our goal difference very good. And yeah, Sheffield United weren't doing great at the time when we played them, and I weren't expecting to go there and get smashed 6-2. So yeah, that's my worst moment of the season so far, the away defeat at Bramall Lane. So I mentioned how Posh have got on so far this season. In terms of the rest of the campaign, January transfer window will be key for Posh. We've got to try and keep the players that we can. I think Dembele potentially will leave. He's probably the only one I can see leaving the club. In terms of bringing in players, we need a left back, a central defender, and a striker. In my view, probably go down the experience route would be my personal opinion, because I think we need that experience in the squad to keep us in the Championship and to establish ourselves as a good Championship side next season. I don't think that's going to happen, sadly, because that's not Darren McAntony's philosophy at the club. He likes to invest in youth and that sort of side of things in the academy. So potentially it'll be League One players that come in, or it could be a loanee from the Premier League. But so far, I don't think that's worked. Connor Coventry is one example. No disrespect to Connor, he's a great player, but he's come to London Road and he hasn't really shined like I expected him to. We've seen him on international duty and he's been phenomenal for them, but he hasn't been great for Posh at club level. So yeah, potentially I'd send him back in January, because I think try and build yourself at West Ham. I can see why he's come to the club, because he wants Championship experience, but he's not getting played by Darren Ferguson, so obviously he's showing something as to why he's not being played in this current starting 11. In terms of players to bring in, I don't know. I don't know who Darren McAntony's got on his list, or Darren Ferguson. I don't know who they're targeting. But we need to bring in something a bit different, I think. Something that's going to really show the rest of the division what we're about. And yeah, I think players from last season, I think Sammy Schmodik's another one. He was phenomenal last season. He hasn't really showed this season what he can do. The only decent game I remember him playing is probably Bristol City. He is a good player. He's a phenomenal player at this level, but he needs to really kick on the rest of the season to show what he's about if he wants to progress. Jonson Clarke-Harris, another one. Many were calling him the next Ivan Toney. For me, he's not really stepped up into the Championship, and I've had a Rotherham fan message me as well the last few weeks saying that, again, when he was at Rotherham, he didn't really show what he could do in the Championship. So I'm hoping he can really push on and show us what he can do at this level. And he has been decent in games, but I think there's just a few games that he could have done a bit better. But yeah, that's my view on Posh. Now we'll go through the current table where we are and the rest of the Championship, and look at my final predicted table for the Championship season. So let's do that. So in terms of the current table, as you can see, Posh are 22nd at the moment with 19 points. They're 2 points adrift of Reading. Shame we're not playing on Boxing Day, as if we got a win, we would go ahead of them. In terms of top of the table, Fulham and Bournemouth are the top two, and I don't see that changing. The playoffs could change, as you'll see in my predicted table. And then down the bottom, Barnsley and Derby still there, but Derby I don't see really getting out of this situation they're in, sadly, after their points deduction. So here is my predicted Championship table after 46 games at the end of the season. So I think Fulham and Bournemouth will go up automatically, Fulham winning the league with Bournemouth finishing second. West Brom, Blackburn, Nottingham Forest and QPR will be in the playoffs, and relegated will be Derby, Hull and Barnsley. I put Posh 20th because I think they could get a few wins and a few draws against some teams for the rest of the season. But this table is just my prediction. It's based on win, lose or draw for all the teams playing each other in the rest of the season. So obviously, if you have your views on this table and what you think of my opinion, please let me know in the comments below. But that's how I think the Championship table will finish come the end of the season. So that's my view on the Championship table. As I mentioned, please comment below with your opinions on how you think the rest of the season will go for your club. So we have come to the end of this video. It's been a roller coaster ride, as I mentioned, for Posh this season so far. Let's hope the rest of the season will be a good one for Peterborough United and the rest of the Championship. I'm sure it will be a very entertaining end to the season for a lot of clubs, and I wish every single team all the best for the rest of this Championship season. So before I go, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watched my channel and supported me. It's been a fantastic experience for me so far this season to do this YouTube channel. I've loved it. I've loved interacting with all the fans. I've love going to the games, watching the teams, and it's been brilliant. So I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a good New Year. I will be back on YouTube when we play Birmingham away on the 29th, so join me for those videos. But for now, thank you very much for watching once again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my channel for all latest content. Take care, and I'll see you very soon up the Bosh.